Alright, slick back. Dark. How's the dabs been lately? I've just got a bong load I gotta hit in front of me, but I'm gonna try and, yeah, get a couple people in here first. Oh shit. Suck a fat. Yo, what up, Smith? What's going on? There's a lot of people on. Oh, shit. Killjoy. Alright, if nobody doesn't roll, we'll just get to going. What's going on, Smith? How you doing? What's up, Beebs? Shaking my brother. Alright. Alright. You want to see if you can get dab back too? I don't know. Alright. We'll go back. We'll take off in like 30 seconds. We'll hit this bottom and we'll take off. Oh, shit. Alright, here we go. What's going on, Miss Latia? You ready to whip on some ass or what? How about you, Beebs? Smack them up front and back and side to side.
Enemy down. We have taken the lead. Claymore set. We are losing ground. Focus.
Well, that bitch is stopping from the left side.
Claymore set. Command is ours. Maintain pressure. Get. Claymore set.
So there might be one coming in the middle. Oh, what the fuck?
Target down. Claymore set.
Oh shit, one coming behind you, Mr. 2. Right there. To your right. Oh, it's spawn flip. I got this one.
Trophy system deployed. Claymore set.
Oh, one in the middle courtyard.
Shit! Fuck.
Ah. One in the 2 in the middle courtyard, maybe in 3.
So that you have lost.
Get that shit.
Taking the lead.
What? How do you know I'll be right there? God. Right there. These guys are all over the
UAV
place.
overhead. Enemy UAV overhead.
We are all.
We are.
Shit.
Claymore set. Flash out. Taking fire over here.
Oh man, one to your left, to your left, to your left.
We are losing ground. Focus.
Nobody's got that. One more, yeah. Oh, what a motherfucker, eh?
They have reached the halfway point. Get moving. Enemy care package is down.
Hands on the right side.
Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy care package is down.
Ah, right side by the bus in the back. Fuck.
Allied cluster strike incoming.
Yeah, he's on the back behind the bus.
Yeah, good shit.
Take pressure. Cruise missile.
Claymore set.
Rano is on the right side.
Friendly sentry gun online. Allied UAV overhead.
Claymore set.
Enemy cluster strike. Take cover. Have lost the lead. -1. Earn your victory.
Ran out of ammo. Left side.
Oh, shit. One on their side, in the middle of the right side, on their side of the middle of the fucking courtyard. There's one.
Shit! Hit right on me.
Shit. One in the middle courtyard. One on the right of it.
Soldat, you have lost
Two on
the
the
lead.
left, Russian for spawn. Oh, there it is.
Shit, GG.
The objective is lost. We are not.
Oh, 70 feet, 70 feet.
Yeah, that was close as fuck. Should have had it, but good game.
How the fuck you get assist in hardcore?
I agree.
Shotgun loaded basketball.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, but you got like a nice cushy boss to work for now, right?
I mean, their expectations are a lot higher.
Got enemy inbound. Lock and load. We're in control.
Claymore set.
What the shit?
Toby.
Reloading.
Wow, there's two at the middle of the buses. Just at the ends of them. Looking down the middle. Wow, good shit.
Enemy counter
Thank you.
UAV online.
Those fucking elite.
Friendly care package inbound.
How are you fucking living? Wow, man. For real? Nice, he shot his teammate to get me. Where the fuck did you go? In the library too. There's one to your left there, Clapton Cheeks. One to your right if you go that way. I'm not gonna have a fucking chance here. One in the fucking,
Enemy UAV.
in the front of the fucking bookshop, for fuck's sakes. What the fuck? What do I get fucking... If you want to yell at you guys, then we just fucking play like fucking smart. Everybody gotta do the... One at the end of the bus is right there on the other side of you, Chief.
Enemy at the bus. Enemy counter UAV online.
Okay. Stupid.
Enemy cruise missile incoming.
Your turn to die.
Oh, you're lucky. Fuck, man.
Slinging a stunner. Enemy VTOL.
In the fucking, to the left of the library, behind the fucking popo, man. The fucking cop car. The fuck? Shoot him, yeah. Fuck. There's another one in the library. If you go in there, he's behind the fucking desk in that little room that's behind there.
Did you shut the stairs? The stairs in the library.
VTOL in the AO. Enemy UAV on.
At the front of the buses. Coming to the middle on the outside of them. Left side. Wow.
Enemy cruise missile incoming. Enemies in the area. Down but not out. Let's go.
Aha, yellow bus.
What? You're right. If you call it a game. Yeah, good game. I don't know where anybody of our teammates is. This guy's fucking team killing me. This lone thug. Shit, Beebs, you want to go play some Plunder or what? I'm down to play some Plunder. That's fucking weird. Two. I'm just gonna look at what couple of classes I got. I gotta get that done. Definitely good. Can't we fucking get in here? Oh god, fucking annoying. Fuck. Oh, I do yaps, man. Yo, what's going on? didn't know somebody was in here. Yeah. Shit, who's that? Shit, my bad. I forgot I was in there. I think. I had to make some deep.
Saying the MCFD too often oversteps its mandate.
We've seen increasing conflict between parents and government bodies, and this is just a bit of a step back on that power imbalance, so that affirming that parents have rights.
The MCFD plans to review the judge's decision. Aaron McCarthy, Global News.
The association representing Canada's private insurers is warning about the risks of ICBC's no-fault design. The Insurance Bureau of Canada has written BC's Premier outlining its concerns with ICBC's move to a no-fault insurance system and providing a list of legislative amendments it would like to see implemented. Private insurers say ICBC is expanding its monopoly on vehicle damage or repair coverage, restricting consumers' ability to shop around for the best deal.
Currently, as designed, no fault is going to further limit your choices. It's going to put more optional insurance into basic coverage, which you have no choice but to purchase, and no choice but to purchase from ICBC. But if we opened the market up, we let drivers shop around for vehicle damage coverage, as our reforms would do, you would see more insurers enter the marketplace.
The switch to no fault is expected, if passed, to save drivers 20% or on average $400 a year, and will be in place next May. Coming up, the warning to Lower Mainland pet owners.
And if I was probably about 5-10 seconds later, I think she probably would have been dead.
A cautionary tale after 2-year-old Luna survived a vicious attack. And a big thank you to first responders, the collection by a North Vancouver neighborhood for their frontline heroes.
Yo, what's going on?
These are the people who keep the country running.
I'm a firefighter. I'm a drywaller. I have this huge responsibility to be a provider.
There is no doubt that you are all tough. The question is, who is the toughest?
Trail Appliances Customer Appreciation Sale is on now. Save big with some of the best prices of the year at our 12 BC locations.
With over 50 brands to choose from, we have something for everyone.
What's going on?
Trail Appliances. Your home, your style.
I always wanted to speak French, but I never had the time. And then I tried Babbel.
Babbel, the #1 selling language
Think about trying Babbel, man.
You're learning phrases that you can use right away in real-life conversations. After just 4 weeks, I was feeling confident enough to have simple conversations in French. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Now I'm speaking French.
Babbel, the quick way to get conversational in a new language. Try Babbel free today. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Dreaming of a mountainside retreat? Now's the time to build your forever home on Kirshner Mountain in Kelowna. With some of the most spectacular views of the city and the lake, this is the perfect place to build your dream home. Phase 4 luxury lots with full amenities are available now. The Kirshner family is dedicated to the preservation of this one-of-a-kind community, clearly reflected in their attention to detail and commitment to your investment. There's never been a better time to live above it all. Kirshner Mountain, an elevated state of nature.
Have you heard of direct lending? It's more flexible than bank lending without the bank. After the financial crisis, traditional banks cut back on lending to homeowners. Get your money direct by calling Capital Direct today.
CapitalDirect.ca. Are you ready for a transformation? If you've lost your smile, whatever the reason, an accident or any partial or full tooth loss, a BC Dentures will help transform your life. You'll look and feel restored with a natural, confident smile.
For over 40 years, Duradeck contractors have been trusted by thousands of Canadians to waterproof their decks and balconies. I'd like to thank you for trusting us to protect your home. Duradeck, we've got you covered.
What's in the plan? Not really anymore.
Lower Mainland pet owners are being warned about a troubling increase in coyote attacks on small pets.
She's very lucky she didn't get any eye damage.
She might look fine now, but 2-year-old Luna was brought to the Canada West Veterinarian Hospital semi-comatose and with a fractured skull after a coyote attack late last month. Her owner says he was alerted to a commotion in his yard at 5 o'clock in the morning and rushed outside.
And if I was probably about 5-10 seconds later, I think she probably would have been dead. So I wrapped her up, put her in a towel, wrapped her up, and I beelined it over here. Thank God it was 5 a.m. because, you know, I was hot footing it from North Van here.
Aggressive coyote behavior is more common in the summer as the animals go after prey in urban areas to feed their young. Owners are being reminded to keep their pets on a leash or indoors. A big thank you today to first responders in North Vancouver.
Guess the cooler thing at least has brought people together, which is the only positive thing I can think of.
Neighborhood residents collected donations from around the community for treat bags that contained everything from baked goods to thank you cards. They were then dropped off at fire halls, police stations, the hospital, and a care home.
Well, we think these people deserve recognition. They don't have any choice in the matter. They come out, they put themselves at risk in a number of ways, and COVID's probably the least of it.
The crew that was here today actually had just returned from a structure fire, pulled in, and the bags were being unloaded. Firefighters in general are humble. They sign up to serve the community. They don't expect, community associations dropping off thank you bags, but I know at the end of the day, it really resonates and it does make a difference.
Altogether, the community collected about $8,000 worth of goods that were donated to first responders. Still to come, welcoming a new guest upon reopening.
Cold.
The orphan sea otter pup now being cared for at the Marine Mammal Rescue Center.
BC One, your province's 24-hour news channel.
As essential workers, IUOE Local 115's members are working hard to keep the economy of BC moving. And we at Local 115 want to thank the healthcare workers and first responders who are working to keep us all healthy.
My bladder leak pad? I thought it had to be thick to protect. But new Always Discreet is made different.
Yo, yeah, man.
Thin layers that turn liquid to gel.
I was wondering who was all around.
For protection, I barely feel. New Always Discreet.
Somebody, I'm just reading on some Bitcoin scam that
In your pocket, the hidden object
was deforted or
intrigue and mystery, where a sharp eye is needed.
What are you talking about?
To find the smallest clues, investigate scandalous secrets and deadly crimes. Where are my... I don't know, microwaves?
My oars?
Yeah, that's where they are.
Huh.
June's Journey. Download now for free.
Good shit, man. Nobody ever says nothing, man. It's fucking, sometimes it's annoying.
If you think you'll pay more at the #1 dealer in customer service,
I literally put it on there. Say something. Say hi. Leave a message. Share it. Fuck something. Anything. Fuck. Fucking people, man.
Caring for loved ones, immune compromised.
It's all good.
Virtual clinics ww2.ca.
Phone or video visit with a doctor.
Yeah, let's do it. It's already full.
Have you heard about direct lending? It's more flexible than bank lending without the bank. With tougher regulations after the financial crisis, traditional banks have cut back on lending to homeowners. With a home equity loan from Capital Direct, the money that you could use is a simple phone call away. Whether it's home renovation, college tuition, or you just want to pay down taxes, Capital Direct can help. Go direct. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL and see what's available for you.
I want to read about that, you know?
Tune in to Believe BC. Celebrate the innovative minds working to reimagine, rebuild, and reignite businesses in our province. Join Global News Hour at 6 on Wednesdays and 980 CKNW daily for stories examining how BC's businesses are evolving during these challenging times. Be part of Italian Day on the Drive for Courage. Due to the current restrictions, the Vibrant Festival will be celebrated throughout the summer from rooftops to mobile platforms, bringing hope and community together, while raising funds for Coast Mental Health
to help
Courage
control.
campaign.
I bet you anything, man, that fucking China's gonna have a fucking come up with a vaccine. Yeah. I bet you anything.
Tragedy struck at Tsawwassen Heronry last month when several trees full of great blue heron nests toppled. The impact decimated the rookery, but as Linda Aylesworth reports, 2 surviving herons are being nursed back to health.
It is a great blue heron, not young enough to be
Crazy, right?
but not old enough to fend for itself. It is a fledgling, and a lucky one at that.
2 weeks ago, we got a report about a big tree falling down in a known rookery for herons.
Wildlife rescue volunteers arrived at the site in Tsawwassen. It was immediately evident that the tree, its roots likely weakened by erosion due to deforestation, wasn't the only one that fell.
And with the impact of that tree, other trees were impacted, pushing other nests onto the ground.
So on arrival, they did find a big mess of trees with nests destroyed, and they did unfortunately find about 12 deceased herons.
It was a devastating sight. Great blue herons are a vulnerable species, their population decreasing in BC. Any loss is significant. But there were a few survivors.
6 herons came into us. Unfortunately, 4 of those herons were very critically injured, so they were humanely euthanized.
That left 2 survivors. Emma has done her best to be a good surrogate mother to them.
You want to make sure that they can't touch humans, because then they're going to think, oh, humans will feed me, and they'll get used to humans, and that can cause issues.
She must teach them lessons their parents didn't get the chance to finish. One has already mastered perching at the top of its enclosure and feeding. The other, a little younger, still needs help.
So eventually we'll start chucking the fish to them, or we call it bipping. And when we bip it, it kind of shows them the movement of the fish, and then hopefully they'll go for it as well.
Until it can grasp the concept of self-feeding, the younger one will have to stick around. But the older one could be ready for release back into the wild as soon as tomorrow. Linda Aylesworth, Global News.
One of the Marine Mammal Rescue Center's first guests since reopening is only about 10 days old.
Yeah, man, that's you know what? I never even thought about that. But it wouldn't surprise me.
Bath and blow dry. The orphan male sea otter pup is receiving intensive 24/7 care after he was discovered on northwestern Vancouver Island last week. Someone heard him crying out overnight and found a deceased adult sea otter nearby, presumed to be his mom. The newborn pup was rescued on Friday with help from Fisheries and Oceans and flown to Vancouver.
I should start crazy talk again, eh?
Hypoglycemic, certainly some degree of dehydration as well. He's hypothermic, so he's cold. His body temperature has dropped below what we'd like to see, and certainly he has a degree of malnutrition as well. It's a very intensive neonatal care sort of protocol for these guys.
Joey was named as a tribute to a longtime supporter who helped reopen the Vancouver Aquarium Oceanwise facility after its COVID-19 closure.
Hi everyone, I'm Christy Gordon with the BC1 weather forecast with quite a bit of cloud cover across the region today and also a few sprinkles here and there. It was bright at least, but overall you can expect the unsettled patterns to continue.
Looks like I was just looking at something on my Facebook.
Next week that we look like that it looks like this pattern is going to change, and we'll start to see a broad upper level ridge build and bring summer back into our area. So keep that umbrella and rain jacket handy. You'll definitely need it. And we're still on flood watch, but there's been some good news. So this is the latest map from the BC River Forecast Center. A lot of areas have been downgraded, including the Upper Fraser River as well as the Bonaparte River. But two key areas still under a warning. That's the Middle Fraser River as well as the Quesnel River. The reason for that is even though the peaks of those rivers have happened, the receding process is going to take quite a while. And we have more rain in the forecast for those areas, so they could still see some rise in the river level, so they're still under a warning. Now, the areas in yellows and oranges, that means we are still seeing that they're receding. Again, still a slow process to recede those river levels, so they will remain high over the next little while. Very important to still stay vigilant. But generally speaking, we're not expecting a lot more moisture in those areas, so the receding process is expected to continue in the next several days, and that includes the Lower Fraser River as well. Now, here's a look at that unsettled weather that I was mentioning. So overnight, we're going to see a wave of moisture push on shore. So South Coast, in particular Metro Vancouver, dry but cloudy in the morning. Rain pushing into the north and west parts of Vancouver Island, Central Coast as well. And then that wave pushes further inland tomorrow evening. So although it will be mostly dry for Metro Vancouver tomorrow and cloudy, it's tomorrow evening that we're expecting that wave of rainfall to push in, or I should say showers. Not really heavy rain, that's for sure, but you'll note that the showers are also going to push into the central interior and Cariboo region as well. So that's why we're really watching those areas. And even into our Thursday, the showers remain across Metro Vancouver and then start to shift into the inland regions on Thursday. So continuing with that unsettled pattern. So once again, Metro Vancouver, chance of rain staying low until tomorrow evening, where it ramps up and stays high through a good part of our Thursday. So definitely keep your rain jacket handy, even as we head into the weekend. We're expecting some showers. Now, here's a look at your Wednesday. So cloud and showers in these regions, but from the central interior through the Cariboo region, rainfall for you in the evening tomorrow. Southern BC staying dry and sunny. South Coast region, though, certainly a chance of rain, especially tomorrow evening, although west and north parts of Vancouver Island will see it through a good part of the day. So Metro Vancouver, mostly dry tomorrow, but rain developing or showers developing tomorrow evening through Thursday. Friday looks like it couldn't be not a bad day, but then we still have showers in the forecast over the weekend.
Elite athletes, epic challenges. Game on. New episodes return Wednesday, July 15 on Global.
And now health officials are saying
For over 40 years, Duradeck contractors have been trusted by thousands of Canadians to waterproof their decks and balconies. I'd like to thank you for trusting us to protect your home. Duradeck, we've got you covered.
When workplaces in British Columbia are healthy and safe, they contribute to a safe and healthy province. As COVID-19 restrictions are lifted and more businesses resume operations, let's all do our part. For information and resources on workplace health and safety, visit WorksafeBC.com.
A smile can change everything. A child with a cleft lip or cleft palate faces a lifetime of pain and isolation. That's why Operation Smile, alongside our medical volunteers, provides safe cleft surgery to children like these, free of charge, thanks to generous donors like you. That was until we fell into a pandemic. With each passing day, 300 more children are added to the waiting list. By December, tens of thousands more children will be waiting for surgery. Please help us keep our promise and deliver smiles to children in need when surgeries resume. Go online to waitingtosmile.ca or call the number on your screen to make a donation. Every gift leads to a smile, and each child will remember your kindness their whole life through.
24/7.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 13 years after the Surrey 6 murders, one of the alleged killers is going to plead guilty. A lawyer for Jamie Bacon, one of the founders of the Red Scorpions gang, says a plea deal has been reached. Romina Dare reports.
Victim's family, always the last to know.
This man has spinned us on his little finger for 13 years.
Eileen Mohan was headed out for a run Tuesday morning when a media Google alert flashed on her phone. The news, Jamie Bacon struck a deal.
And all of a sudden, today he thinks he's given us some justice by pleading guilty. It has been really difficult to accept everything.
Bacon's lawyer has confirmed his client is expected to plead guilty Thursday in connection to the 2007 Surrey 6 slaughter in a high-rise building, the worst gangland slaying in BC's history.
In relation to the Surrey 6 allegations, he will plead guilty to conspiracy to commit the murder of Corey Lau.
Bacon's drug rival, Corey Lau, plus 3 associates were killed. 2 innocent bystanders, also shot execution style. Ed Schellenberg was fixing a fireplace in Unit 1505. Across the hall, Mohan's 22-year-old son, Christopher, was leaving home en route to play basketball.
You just can't walk to the doorsteps of my home and steal my son's life and expect to walk free on the streets.
But what will justice look like in terms of a sentence? Bacon was also charged with first-degree murder in the case, but it looks like that charge will be tossed as a result of the plea deal.
Until that plea is entered, until the end of the sentencing, it's still in the books for now. The expectation is that the Crown will stay that charge at the close of a sentencing hearing.
Bacon's lawyer tells us his client also intends to plead guilty to 1 count of counseling to commit murder in a separate case from 2008, which Bacon is currently on trial for. This is in connection to an attempted hit on Bacon's former associate, Dennis Karbovanek. While others have been sentenced for their role in the Surrey 6 massacre, Mohan has been waiting 13 years for Bacon's trial.
I was looking forward to my day in court, and I'm not in agreement about what has happened, but I have to shut up and take it.
The big question now is whether Bacon will spend any significant time in jail as a result of this plea deal. He has been in custody for 11 years now and is expected to get some credit for time served. Defense and Crown have struck an agreement regarding sentencing. They are not sharing those details. We'll have to find out in court.
That guy shouldn't get out.
Romina Dare, Global News.
Vancouver's
He definitely.
homicide count for 2020 took a jump.
That guy they were talking about,
Police are asking for
he shouldn't get out, man.
vehicle of interest. Police were called just after midnight to a home in
Yeah.
Vancouver. Inside, they found the city's 6th and 7th homicide victims.
The guy's shot calls everybody to die.
They check in and around bushes, inspect storm drains and parkades. More than a dozen members of the Vancouver Police Department conducting an extensive grid search near East 11 and Commercial Drive, scene of a double homicide.
BPD officers were called shortly before 12:30 this morning for reports of 2 males who had been shot inside of a local residence. BC Ambulance Service attended with Vancouver Police and confirmed that both males were deceased.
The bodies were discovered inside this house, where a forensics team is poring over the scene. Investigators believe the victims were targeted, but they aren't revealing any information about who they are or if they're known to police.
A little bit shocking to wake up to and see that on the news. Roommate said he heard some screaming last night, but we're not sure if that was related.
Very safely. So far, no one is being
Probably was
arrested.
related.
Police have
That guy was like a
identified
fucking
vehicle of
asshole.
interest. An older model, gray 2005 Dodge Caravan minivan with BC plate number 175LXR. If you see it, stay back and call 911.
If anybody has any surveillance video of their houses in the area, any dash cam footage from vehicles in the area around 12:30 this morning or shortly before, contact our homicide unit or Crime Stoppers anonymously.
The killings are Vancouver's 6th and 7th homicides of the year. Catherine Hart, Global News.
Vancouver police are sounding an alarm about a dramatic increase in replica guns on the city streets. The VPD says in the first 6 months of this year, they've seen a 107% increase in the number of replica guns compared to 2 years ago. Most of the seizures have been on the downtown east side and in Yaletown, and the majority are from people with criminal records. The replica guns are legal to buy and sell, but not when they're used for illegal purposes.
You can't carry it as a concealed weapon. You can't hide it in your waistband and carry it. Keeping in mind a weapon definition is anything that is meant to intimidate for the criminal code.
Vancouver police say they don't know why there's been such an increase, but say they are working with
kidding
government
me?
to further limit the places where it's legal to possess a replica gun. Water levels have fallen in the community of Cache Creek.
Everybody's got a gun in my city, and it's little.
Evacuated from their homes, nervously watch the forecast. Locals John Was in Cache Creek with some of their stories.
Looking down along the raging riverbank and up in the ominous sky, flood evacuees in Cache Creek say it feels like drowning in hopelessness.
You get to the point where it doesn't matter.
What up, Smith?
You feel like everything's...
Yeah, man.
While the water
Just watching some news, yeah.
Park River and Cache Creek have dropped slightly. The first
Having some food, brother.
Was like a punch to the gut.
When you see the rain clouds, the storm fronts that are moving in. The last time this happened, the river rose 2 feet in 24 hours.
As the water continues to eat away at the ground beneath a dozen properties, an evacuation order being forced to live out of
Made some fucking pudding last night, man.
a regular part of Charlene Gordon's life.
With my dinner.
Whatever clothes and necessities needed, and hopefully we didn't.
But I didn't eat it.
Her pets are also
I just let it,
from the possibility of being homeless.
I let it settle.
The anxiety too. They hear the river, they know that the ground's moving, and they know that.
I fucking love pudding, man.
And it's not just water spilling over the riverbanks, which is a concern here in Cache Creek. It's also the groundwater.
There's lots of flooding.
Village to shut down one of its 2 wells, leaving residents with stage 4 water restrictions, which means limiting its use to drinking, food preparation, and personal hygiene.
When the water gets this high, we always worry that it's going to infiltrate the well and cause contamination.
With increased flooding in the region over the past 3 to 4 years, this community along the water is desperate for a lifeline, whether it's shoring up the riverbanks or buying out at-risk property.
The only possibility that I can see personally right now is to remove all of the buildings along the waterways. That's half the town.
Without help, residents and evacuees say it's hard not to let that sense of hopelessness sweep over them. Now, the village of Cache Creek is in constant communication with Environment Canada and the BC River Forecast Centre, but what it's starting to do today is set up an early warning system by communicating with communities further up north, like Loon Lake and High Hume Lake. By having those communities inform them when the river levels are rising up there, it gives them the 4 to 6 hour window.
Fuck, I wanted to read that again.
It starts to reach here.
I missed it.
John Global News, Cache Creek.
Another Vancouver strip club has been forced to shut down over a case of COVID-19. Number 5 Orange on Main Street says it found out yesterday that a staff member who last worked on Canada Day tested positive. The club closed briefly but reopened today after it says health officials gave the green light. 2 staff members are in isolation, one with COVID and another as a precaution. The club earlier installed plexiglass to keep its dancers and customers apart, and says the closure was for contact tracing data upgrades. Last month, Brandy shut down temporarily after several people tested positive for COVID-19. And while there are no active community outbreaks, new cases and community exposure events just like that one continue to occur. We have 12 new cases today. That brings our total to 2,990. Thankfully, no new deaths, so that number remains at 183. 16 people are in hospital, 4 of them in ICU. 2,645 are considered recovered, and that leaves us with 162 active cases. The Vancouver single father at the center of a high-profile legal fight with the Ministry of Children and Family Development has won that battle. He got dragged into it 3 years ago for letting his school-aged children ride the bus alone. Aaron MacArthur reports on the free-range father's victory.
I think it's a bit discouraging how much this did take.
Bitter-sweet vindication. A Vancouver father at the center of a 3-year fight with the Ministry of Children and Family Development has for now won the right to let his young kids ride the bus without parental supervision.
The ministry has a very important role to play. I don't think it's in parenting decisions like this. This decision that the ministry took and reinforced throughout the last 3 years was entirely optional. They could have backed away from this.
The father, who we won't name to comply with a publication ban on the children's names, says this is more than simply about riding a bus. After losing a court ruling, he appealed. The 3 judges agreed with the dad, saying the ministry overstepped, saying it may give advice and make recommendations to parents, but those recommendations aren't binding.
I hope parents now know that if the ministry wants to tell them they have to do something, that order has to come from a judge. It can't come from a ministry social worker.
The MCFD previously has said it completely supports building independence in kids and would be comfortable with children riding the bus alone if they're ready and capable. But when the ministry receives a child protection concern, we are legislatively obligated to assess it and respond in the best interest of the children. Parents groups saying the MCFD too
I would have let
often
my kid do it.
mandate.
You know, we've seen
It'd have to be a fucking kid's school bus.
conflict between parents and government bodies, and this is just a bit of a step back on that power imbalance, so that affirming that parents have rights.
The MCFD plans to review the judge's decision. Aaron MacArthur, Global News.
The association representing Canada's private insurers is warning about the risks of ICBC's no-fault design. The Insurance Bureau of Canada has written BC's Premier outlining its concerns with ICBC's move to a no-fault insurance system and providing a list of legislative amendments it would like to see implemented. Private insurers say ICBC is expanding its monopoly on vehicle damage or repair coverage, restricting consumers' ability to shop around for the best deal.
Made me think about doing Crazy Talk again.
It's going to put more optional insurance into basic coverage, which you have no choice but to purchase, and no choice but to purchase from ICBC. But if we opened the market up, we let drivers shop around for vehicle damage coverage, as our reforms would do, you would see more insurers enter the marketplace.
A switch to no-fault is expected, if passed, to save drivers 20% or on average $400 a year, and will be in place next May. Coming up, the warning to Lower Mainland pet owners.
And if I was probably about 5-10 seconds later, I think she probably would have been dead.
A cautionary tale after 2-year-old Luna survived a vicious attack. And a big thank you to first responders, the collection by a North Vancouver neighborhood for their frontline heroes.
We have a master terrorist loose in New York City with a cash.
Fuck, I keep missing something on this some kind of rip-off, some kind of scam of Bitcoin.
FBI, tonight at 9 on Global.
So, I'm guessing that meeting with your lawyer went well the other day? Oh yeah, I love my lawyer.
Nobody loves a lawyer until they need one. Hurt in a car accident? Call 604-800-8888.
British Columbia is different today than it was a few months ago, and our lives have changed. We are proud of our industry's efforts to ensure new homes are built and important projects continue. I'm Ann McMullen, the president of the Urban Development Institute. Our members build the homes we live in, the buildings where we work, and the communities we call home. Perhaps our biggest challenge is the one that lies ahead. Ensuring British Columbia's recovery makes us even stronger. Our industry will continue to be at the forefront as we build a better tomorrow. Together, we can do it.
John Stone's Barbecues and Parks have been serving up good times and good meals for over 40 years. Family owned and operated, we're thrilled to have a second location to serve you. We carry the full line of premium Royal King products, including charcoal smokers and barbecues for every patio or yard. Visit us on the North Shore or our new location on 152nd and 54A in Surrey. From our family to yours, enjoy the season with Western Canada's barbecue specialists.
Are you ready for a transformation? If you've lost your smile, whatever the reason, an accident or any partial or full tooth loss,
A BC Dentures will help transform your life. You'll look and feel restored with a natural, confident smile.
Trail Appliances Customer Appreciation Sale is on now. Save big with some of the best prices of the year at our 12 BC locations.
With over 50 brands to choose from, we have something for every budget and lifestyle. Trail Appliances. Your home, your style.
Healthcare.
Clinics aren't always an option.
Social distancing. Caring for loved ones. Immunocompromised. Visit virtualclinics.ca.
A phone or video visit with a doctor for any virtualclinics.ca.
Because we care, we're in this together.
Lower Mainland pet owners are being warned about a troubling increase in coyote attacks on small pets.
She's very lucky. She didn't get any eye damage.
She might look fine now, but 2-year-old Luna was brought to the Canada West Veterinarian Hospital semi-comatose and with a fractured skull after a coyote attack late last month. Her owner says he was alerted to a commotion in his yard at 5 o'clock in the morning and rushed outside.
And if I was probably about 5-10 seconds later, I think she probably would have been dead. So I wrapped her up, put her in a towel, wrapped her up, and I beelined it over here. Thank God it was 5 a.m. because, you know, I was hot footing it from North Van here.
Aggressive coyote behavior is more common in the summer as the animals go after prey in urban areas to feed their young. Owners are being reminded to keep their pets on a leash or indoors. A big thank you today to first responders in North Vancouver.
I guess the COVID thing at least has brought people together, which is the only positive thing I can think of.
Neighborhood residents collected donations from around the community for treat bags that contained everything from baked goods to thank you cards. They were then dropped off at fire halls, police stations, the hospital, and a care home.
Well, we think these people deserve recognition. They don't have any choice in the matter. They've come out, they put themselves at risk in a number of ways, and COVID is probably the least of it.
The crew that was here today actually had just returned from a structure fire, pulled in, and the bags were being unloaded. Firefighters in general are humble. They sign up to serve the community. They don't expect, community associations dropping off thank you bags, but I know at the end of the day it really resonates and it does make a difference.
Altogether, the community collected about $8,000 worth of goods that were donated to first responders. Still to come, welcoming a new guest upon reopening.
Code.
The orphan sea otter pup now being cared for at the Marine Mammal Rescue Center.
BC1, your province's 24-hour news channel. Aquatic invasive species in Canada strike a lot harder and closer to home than you think. Taxes and utilities, invasive species can directly increase the amount you pay. On a boat, visiting infested waters can cost you just to keep them clean of invasive species. Long walks on the beach, watch your feet, waterfront real estate, property values will sink. So what can you do as an individual? Simple. Clean, drain, and dry. And together, we can prevent the spread of invasive species and their unwanted impacts.
Have you heard about direct lending? It's more flexible than bank lending without the bank. With tougher regulations after the financial crisis, traditional banks have cut back on lending to homeowners. With a home equity loan from Capital Direct, the money that you could use is a simple phone call away. Whether it's home renovations, college tuition, or you just want to pay down taxes, Capital Direct can help. Go direct. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL to see what's available for you.
CapitalDirect.ca.
As essential workers, IUOE Local 115's members are working hard to keep the economy of BC moving. And we at Local 115 want to thank the healthcare workers and first responders who are working to keep us all healthy. Escape the ordinary. Experience the extraordinary. Play perched 1,000 feet above Lake Okanagan, where greens meet blue at the Rise Golf Course.
ICBC only knows me by this claim number. Well, ICBC, my name is Rachel, and I'm wondering when I'll start getting treated the way you promised. Nice to meet you.
Never assume ICBC will keep its promises. Call Klein Lawyers today.
Healthcare.
Clinics aren't always an option. Social distancing.
Caring for loved ones. Immunocompromised. Visit virtualclinics.ca.
Perform a video visit with a doctor for any reason. Virtualclinics.ca.
Because we care. We're in this together.
Tune in to Believe BC to celebrate the innovative minds working to reimagine, rebuild, and reignite businesses in our province. Join Global News Hour at 6 on Wednesdays and 980 CKNW daily for stories examining how BC's businesses are evolving during these challenging times. Be part of Italian Day on the Drive for Courage. Due to the current restrictions, the vibrant festival will be celebrated throughout the summer, from rooftops to mobile platforms, bringing hope and community together, while raising funds for Coast Mental Health Spread Courage, Not Fear campaign.
In partnership with Fortis BC, caring for the BC communities where we live and work.
Tragedy struck a Tawasin heronry last month when several trees full of great blue heron nests toppled. The impact decimated the rookery, but as Linda Aylesworth reports, 2 surviving herons are being nursed back to health.
It is a great blue heron, not young enough to be called a baby, but not old enough to fend for itself. It is a fledgling, and a lucky one at that.
2 weeks ago, we got a report about a big tree falling down in a known rookery for herons.
When wildlife rescue volunteers arrived at the site in Tawasin, it was immediately evident that the tree, its roots likely weakened by erosion due to deforestation, wasn't the only one that fell.
And with the impact of that tree, other trees were impacted, pushing other nests onto the ground.
So on arrival, they did find a big mess of trees with nests destroyed, and they did unfortunately find about 12 deceased herons.
It was a devastating sight. Great blue herons are a vulnerable species, their population decreasing in BC. Any loss is significant. But there were a few survivors.
6 herons came into us. Unfortunately, 4 of those herons were very critically injured, so they were humanely euthanized.
That left 2 survivors. Emma has done her best to be a good surrogate mother to them.
You want to make sure that they can't tell that you're a human, because then they're going to think, oh, humans will feed me, and they'll get used to humans, and that can cause issues.
She must teach them the lessons their parents didn't get the chance to finish. One has already mastered perching at the top of its enclosure and feeding. The other, a little younger, still needs help.
So eventually we'll start chucking the fish to them, or we call it biffing. And when we biff it, it kind of shows them the movement of the fish, and then hopefully they'll go for it as well.
Until it can grasp the concept of self-feeding, the younger one will have to stick around. But the older one could be ready for release back into the wild as soon as tomorrow. Linda Aylesworth, Global News.
One of the Marine Mammal Rescue Center's first guests since reopening is only about 10 days old.
Code.
This is Joey getting pampered with a bath and blow dry. The orphan male sea otter pup is receiving intensive 24/7 care after he was discovered on northwestern Vancouver Island last week. Someone heard him crying out overnight and found a deceased adult sea otter nearby, presumed to be his mom. The newborn pup was rescued on Friday with help from Fisheries and Oceans and flown to Vancouver.
We checked his blood. He's definitely hypoglycemic. Certainly some degree of dehydration as well. He's hypothermic, so he's cold. His body temperature has dropped, below what we would like to see, and certainly he has a degree of malnutrition as well. It's a very intensive neonatal care sort of protocol for these guys.
Joey was named as a tribute to a longtime supporter who helped reopen the Vancouver Aquarium Oceanwise facility after its COVID-19 closure.
Hi everyone. everyone. I'm Christy Gordon with the BC1 weather forecast. There's quite a bit of cloud cover across the region today and also a few sprinkles here and there. It was bright at least, but overall you can expect the unsettled pattern to continue. It's not until the early parts of next week that it looks like this pattern is going to change and we'll start to see a broad upper level ridge build and bring summer back into our area. So keep that umbrella and rain jacket handy. You'll definitely need it. And we're still on flood watch, but there's been some good news. So this is the latest map from the BC River Forecast Center. A lot of areas have been downgraded, including the Upper Fraser River as well as the Bonaparte River. But two key areas still under a warning. That's the Middle Fraser River as well as the Quesnel area, Quesnel River. The reason
I'm just
for
reading
that
this
is
thing on.
even though the peaks of those rivers have happened, the receding
Said,
process is going to take quite a while. And we have
homosexual
no
pop
rain
star
forecast
Elton
for
John
those
was
areas,
stopped and
so they
searched
could
at
still see
an airport in
some rise in the
2007.
river level, so they're still under a warning. Now,
This
the areas of
pedophilic
yellows and oranges, that
photograph
we are
was
still seeing that they're
confiscated from his
receding.
person.
Again, it's still a slow process
It's
to recede those
it's
river
all
levels,
censored
so
out, but
they will
fucking.
remain high over the next little while. Very
And then it has
important
like a
to
quote
stay
by,
vigilant.
if
But
I was to
generally
say
speaking,
what
we're
I am,
expecting
I
a lot
would
more
be
moisture
Labor
in those
Man.
areas, so the receding
I like
process
Tony
is
Blair
expected
a
to
lot,
continue
whoever
in
the
the
fuck
next
that
several
is.
days, and
I
that
think he's a
includes
good
the
man.
Lower Fraser
And then it
River
says
as
Elton
well.
John.
Now, here's a look at that unsettled weather that I was mentioning. So overnight, we're going to see a wave of moisture push on
It's
shore.
fucked up.
So South Coast, in particular Metro Vancouver, dry but cloudy in the morning. Rain pushing into the north and west parts of Vancouver Island, Central Coast as well. And then that wave pushes further inland tomorrow evening. So although it will be mostly dry for Metro Vancouver tomorrow and cloudy, it's tomorrow evening that we're expecting that wave of rainfall to push in, or I should say showers. Not really heavy rain, that's for sure, but you'll note that the showers are also going to push into the central interior and Cariboo region as well. So that's why we're really watching those areas, and even into our Thursday, the showers remain across Metro Vancouver and then start to shift into the inland regions on Thursday. So continuing with that unsettled pattern. So once again, Metro Vancouver, chance of rain staying low until tomorrow evening where it ramps up and stays high through a good part of our Thursday. So definitely keep your rain jacket handy. Even as we head into the weekend, we're expecting some showers. Now, here's a look at your Wednesday. So cloud and showers in these regions, but from the central interior through the Cariboo region, rainfall for you in the evening tomorrow. Southern BC staying dry and sunny. South Coast region, though, certainly a chance of rain, especially tomorrow evening, although west and north parts of Vancouver Island will see it through a good part of the day. So Metro Vancouver, mostly dry tomorrow, but rain developing or showers developing tomorrow evening through Thursday. Friday looks like it couldn't be not a bad day, but then we still have showers in the forecast over the weekend.
Once we put someone on the most wanted list, they stay there until they're caught or they're dead.
We will find the truth.
FBI Most Wanted, tonight at 10 on Global.
When workplaces in British Columbia are healthy and safe, they contribute to a safe and healthy province. As COVID-19 restrictions are lifted and more businesses resume operations, let's all do our part. For information and resources on workplace health and safety, visit WorksafeBC.com.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel, language for life. Try it free at Babbel.com.
Escape the ordinary. Experience the extraordinary. Play perched 1,000 feet above Lake Okanagan, where greens meet blue at the Rise Golf Course.
Are you ready for a transformation? If you've lost your smile, whatever the reason, an accident or any partial or full tooth loss, a BC Dentures will help transform your life. You'll look and feel restored with a natural, confident smile.
The COVID-19 crisis is making it even harder for First Nations people to receive the health care they deserve. But with the First Nations Virtual Doctor of the Day service, you can now connect with a doctor by phone, tablet, or computer if you can't reach your regular healthcare provider, or if you don't have one. It's free and available for all First Nations people living in BC, plus their family members. A virtual doctor of the day is available every day. We look forward to serving you.
On this Tuesday night, making face masks mandatory. The new rules in 2 major Canadian cities met with compliance.
I'm fine with it.
And resistance.
Protect your rights or they'll take your rights.
The next city that may force people to cover up their face. In his own words, the disturbing letter from the man accused of threatening the Prime Minister, a Global News exclusive. New blockage, a new U.S. court ruling that could make Keystone XL a pipe dream. And rising waters and a rising death toll, a torrential rain ravaging southern Japan, and going streaking through the sky.
Just when I thought it couldn't get any better.
A rare comet hurtling past Earth that has stargazers starstruck.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We're going to get to the mandatory rules on mask wearing in some cities in just a moment, but we begin with new insight Global News has learned into what may have motivated the man charged with uttering or conveying a threat to cause death or bodily harm to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. 46-year-old Corey Curran, a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, was arrested after ramming his truck through the gates of Rideau Hall on July 2nd. He's facing 22 charges, and court documents reveal he had 4 loaded guns, including a semi-automatic rifle and a prohibited high-capacity magazine. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson joins me. Mercedes, it seems clear he had the capacity to do serious harm, and you have exclusive information about a note Curran had with him. What does it reveal?
Donna, Global News now knows what was in the note that Corey Curran wrote in advance of smashing his truck through the gates of Rideau Hall with a small arsenal of firearms. Curran composed a 2-page letter in shaky and difficult-to-read handwriting, according to sources who are familiar with the document. The letter is a mix of personal despair and financial distress, combined with comments on COVID-19 and clear anger at the Liberal government. In it, Curran begins by identifying himself and saying he is now likely considered a missing person. He apologizes to his wife, the military, and his other family and friends for the trouble he says this will cause and has caused, indicating he simply doesn't see another way forward that he can live with. He says that he cannot keep living in his current pain. Curran talks about his business failing and doubts that it will ever recover even after COVID-19 passes. He talks about financial troubles, too, saying that he believes he had to act now before his truck, the one he used to smash through the gates, is repossessed. He then goes on to criticize Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government, describing Canada as a communist dictatorship, railing
What's up, everybody?
gun control measures and government spending, as well as Parliament not sitting. In the letter, Curran reveals
so good.
that he has emailed MPs
Shouldn't
with
ate
his
it first.
concerns,
Or
but
had a
says
bite.
they did not write him back. Curran says that he cannot handle another year under what he calls house arrest with COVID-19. Curran describes his actions as what he hopes to be a wake-up call or a turning point for the country. He says that he has loved his time being in the Rangers and in the military. He also reveals that he arrived here in Ottawa on Canada Day, and he laments that he went to the War Museum only to find it closed due to COVID-19. He reveals he spent time near the Artillery Memorial here in Ottawa. He was a member of the Artillery Reserves between 1997 and 2000. He signs off by saying he hopes he will be forgiven one day and that his children will understand. He never is specific in the letter, Donna, about what exactly he's going to do, but one source described the letter as sounding like the last one a person would write. We asked terrorism expert, lawyer, and former military officer Leah West what she took away from the information in that letter.
And I'm sure the RCMP and the INSET is doing to really kind of get a good sense of what this person's motive and intent was. It doesn't seem that he was able to clearly make that known through his letter, and it may be that he was motivated for a variety of reasons, and that's what it does sound like in the letter, that his motivations were not strictly political, and that a lot of it had to do with his own personal grievances.
Mercedes, you've also heard from sources that Curran communicated with someone in the military before ramming the
Look,
gate
I'm
at
gonna go to
Rideau
bed
Hall.
now.
What have you learned?
Now, sources say that Huron texted his letter,
What's going on, everybody?
in terms of photos, to his superior in the Rangers before he crashed through the gates of Rideau Hall. And sources say that when his superior saw that text message, he called 911 and called
Look at how fast my shit goes.
let them know what was happening to be on alert, and he continued to provide them with information throughout the incident in the hopes of de-escalating the situation. Donna?
All right, Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa, thanks. The advice over whether to wear a non-medical mask in public has been evolving through the many long months of this pandemic, and now Canada's largest city and the nation's capital have taken things a step further. It's now mandatory in Toronto and Ottawa to wear a mask in enclosed public places. The number of new cases of COVID-19 in Ontario is trending downward. 112 new cases were reported today, most in the Greater Toronto area, and the curve has flattened substantially right across the country. Clusters of new cases, when they happen, tend to be linked to enclosed spaces like nail salons, restaurants, meatpacking plants, and farms with migrant workers. Toronto's public health officer says making masks mandatory rather than just encouraging their use improves compliance. Mike Drolet reports on the rules and the response.
This was expected on the first day of mandatory masks in Toronto, a vocal minority protesting infringements on their right to freedom. But most everywhere else in the city, the non-punitive bylaw mandating masks be worn indoors was met with a shrug and compliance.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah, well, who wants to get corona, you know? Should have happened months ago.
Yeah.
Months ago, maybe in February.
Over 50 countries around the world have made masks mandatory. In Canada right now, it's just 2 cities, Toronto and Ottawa, where the new bylaws give businesses the right to refuse service. While also creating the possibility of more conflict.
It's unfortunate. I would like us to be more reliant on individual responsibility, but it seems that is insufficient.
What's insufficient for Montreal retailers is how far the city's new mask bylaw, which goes into effect at the end of the month, will reach. Masks might soon be mandatory within Montreal, but all its suburbs have yet to follow suit.
We have to look forward for a regional...
I'm wearing a motherfucking helmet with a face mask on it, man. Fuck it.
Easier for everyone.
It's an issue British Columbia seems to be grappling with as well, where Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry has said she fully supports wearing masks indoors. She just has no interest at this time in making it mandatory.
It depends very much on your transmission in your community. So I do not believe we're at the point where we need to mandate it, and I don't believe we have been there.
And the numbers do support that. On the same day this week, BC had 7 new cases, Quebec 74, and Ontario 154. All numbers that pale in comparison to what we were seeing during the height of the pandemic. The COVID-19 crisis has become more of a regionalized issue, putting more pressure on local health officials and politicians to make tough and sometimes unpopular decisions. Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.
Wearing a mask is mandatory inside Toronto's Pearson International Airport, and the federal Conservative leader and the Premier of Manitoba are being criticized after pictures were posted on social media showing them without masks. Andrew Scheer and Brian Pallister were sitting with a group in the departures area. They were not wearing masks. In early June, Pearson Airport made wearing a non-medical mask mandatory for all travelers and employees inside the terminal at all times. Brazil's president refused to wear a mask until he was ordered to do so by a judge, and now Jair Bolsonaro has tested positive for the novel coronavirus, which he's repeatedly dismissed as just a little cold. Bolsonaro says he got tested after he began to feel unwell on Sunday.
Thing is, man, about that, it's not everybody's gonna fucking react the same way. That's like telling someone, the next person that just gonna try the same weed that I just smoked, saying they're gonna fucking act the same way I act, man, when I smoke.
The pandemic is called the virus of mild flu as his country's death toll mounted. Brazil is now the second worst hit country in the world after the United States. More than 65,000 Brazilians have died from COVID-19, and more than 1.6 million people have tested positive. It's likely many more cases have gone undetected because of limited testing. That kind of rampant spread of the virus in Brazil is something officials in Australia are trying to avoid. As Crystal Demancing reports, they're going to extremes to try to get an outbreak in the country's second largest city under control.
It's a pandemic, and it will kill thousands of people if it gets completely away from us.
It's a risk Australian leaders are not willing to take. COVID-19 infections in the state of Victoria hit levels not seen in months. To suppress the spread, a lockdown is being imposed on nearly 5 million people in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's like the iceberg analogy, isn't it? There's been a lot going on that we didn't know was there, and all of a sudden it's come to the surface and everyone's a bit freaked out about it.
199 cases were reported Tuesday. It may not seem like a lot, but it is for Australia. And infections are occurring through community transmission. For the first time since the Spanish flu, the border between Victoria and New South Wales has been closed. Only under special circumstances are people granted permission to cross.
This is, I know, further than we went last time, but we are in many respects in a more precarious, challenging and potentially tragic position.
In many countries, the pandemic is accelerating. Worldwide infections have increased by nearly 1 million in roughly a week. More than 200 scientists called on the World Health Organization to acknowledge the possibility the virus can be airborne, spread through tiny particles that linger in the air.
We acknowledge that there is emerging evidence in this field, as in all other fields, regarding the COVID-19 virus and pandemic. And therefore, we believe that we have to be open to this evidence.
As scientists continue to examine the virus and how it's most often spread, people are trying to stay virus-free. And for millions in Australia, that means staying at home. Crystal Demancing, Global News, London.
The World Health Organization says it's sending a team back to China to study the origins of the novel coronavirus and how it jumped from animals to humans. The team will depart this weekend for Wuhan, where the first human cases of mysterious pneumonia were linked to a local wet market. China's been heavily criticized for initial secrecy about the outbreak. The U.S. and
initial
President
secrecy
Donald Trump have been
because they
highly
fucking
critical
made
of the
it.
World Health Organization, blaming it for being too slow to react to the
They
pandemic.
made it. It's in a
For months,
book.
President Trump has criticized the organization.
Said it was going to happen. The exact, all that shit.
Of the World Health Organization altogether. It's one of the biggest funders, and according to U.S. media reports, the Trump administration has formally notified the UN as triggering the process to withdraw. Expected to take 1 year. The U.S. is still top of the charts of COVID-19 cases in the world, and the numbers are surging in a number of states. More than 46,000 more Americans tested positive just today. That brings the total number of infections to more than 2.9 million. Here in Canada, the federal government has signed an agreement with the Assembly of First Nations outlining how it will fund the plan to overhaul the First Nations child welfare system. It's the next step towards implementing Bill C-92. That's the legislation that gives Indigenous communities control over child welfare and aims to reduce the number of kids in care. Not all provinces are on board. Quebec has launched a constitutional challenge to the law, arguing child welfare is a provincial responsibility.
Instead of wasting all the tax dollars fighting this bill, is to start working with chiefs and leadership to implement this bill. It's really in the best interest of the children. There's too many children in foster care under provincial systems. And we've said it this way, that you've got to focus on the children, keep them at home in their communities and their families.
The Assembly of First Nations estimates there are 40,000 Indigenous children in foster care across Canada, and that's more than double the number of kids taken from their families when residential schools were at their peak. Members of the House of Commons Committee have agreed to look into why grocery store chains have cut pandemic pay premiums for workers. Union leaders representing thousands of grocery store workers say there's no reason to cut the premium since COVID-19 is still a risk for workers. Some have become ill and a few have died from the virus. When the outbreak struck Canada in March, major grocery store chains boosted frontline workers' wages by about $2 an hour. Late last month, the chains announced they were ending the pay bump because the pace of business has eased. A developing disaster in Japan coming up. What's in the forecast after widespread flash floods?
Wow.
Plus, pipeline pushback, the latest obstacle for Keystone XL.
Help with the drinking problem is not just sitting and talking. At Sunshine Coast Health Center, we combine the latest in mental health science with programming designed to take advantage of the best of coastal British Columbia. Call us today for your free consultation.
Your home is your biggest investment. If you see trip hazards or sunken, cracked concrete around your home, don't panic. We can help. True Level Concrete are Lower Mainland experts in concrete lifting and leveling. We lift your concrete slab back to its original position and stabilize it permanently, fast, eco-friendly, and the best solution for settled interior and exterior concrete. Remember, concrete problems don't get better with time. They get better with True Level. Call now for a free estimate.
We're not actors. We sell cars. BC's largest Hyundai dealer, servicing the Okanagan, the Lower Mainland, and Victoria. Best selection and pricing of new and used vehicles. Check them out at CottAutoGroup.com.
We sell cars!
BC1, your province's 24-hour news channel.
The Keystone XL pipeline has suffered yet another setback. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected a request from the Trump administration to allow construction of parts of the Keystone XL pipeline that have been blocked by a federal judge in Montana. The court upheld a lower court ruling, and as Eric Sorensen reports, after years of legal battles, that means the future of the pipeline is again up in the air.
This project is about Alberta taking control of its destiny.
Just days after Alberta's premier kicked off construction of the Keystone XL pipeline, the mega project is stalled once again. From the U.S. Supreme Court, a non-decision thunderbolt, rejecting a bid from the Trump administration to allow Keystone construction that's been blocked by a Montana judge. The massive project would ship more than 800,000 barrels of crude from Alberta's oil sands to refineries on the U.S. Gulf Coast. The Canadian company behind the pipeline says in a statement, TC Energy remains committed to the future of this project. The court decision comes as a coalition of environmental organizations urges Ottawa to chart a new path away from oil and towards climate protection. The International Institute for Sustainable Development says billions of federal dollars that will be spent recovering from COVID-19 should come with green strings attached. For the carbon economy, support only for companies that agree to net zero emissions by 2050. For the new economy, stimulus to build a green recovery with green jobs. In short, this is no time for Alberta or Ottawa to spend billions on pipelines, says the report's co-author.
There's a huge risk that we're actually creating stranded assets instead of putting our money towards low-carbon sectors where we know there's going to be jobs in the long run.
The Alberta government has maintained the economic recovery from COVID-19 needs Canadian oil.
It will only happen if we get pipelines built.
But the oil sector is struggling. Ottawa spent $4 billion on the proposed TMX pipeline expansion from Alberta to BC that several Indigenous groups still oppose. All this at a time when oil prices are low and some investors are pulling back.
As economic recovery unfolds, how much net new investment do we see in the oil and gas sector? So I think it's going to take several years for the oil and gas sector to get back to its pre-COVID levels of activity. Given the dramatic economic shock that's taken place.
As for Keystone XL, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has vowed to scrap Donald Trump's approval of it, which means a project now stopped by the courts is uncertain to restart after November's U.S. election. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Still ahead, a bus ride turns tragic for students in China.
British Columbia is different today than it was a few months ago. Our lives have changed, and home has never been more important. Many in our sector are doing what they can to ensure our economy will recover. I'm Ann McMullen, president of the Urban Development Institute. Our members are working hard to rebuild our province, economy, and our communities. They will build the homes and the offices that will support a future that is bright. Vancouver is truly a great city and a great community. Together, we can make it even better.
Think you know Lazy Boy? Think again. Introducing the new look of reclining comfort. From casual to contemporary, comfort never looks so good. Style and function, modern retreat, solid wood dining rooms, bedrooms, and more. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries presents Open House on Global News Morning weekends. Watch and get the inside scoop on luxury living, trends, home improvement, and organization. Open House on Global News Morning weekends. Brought to you by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably. You're watching Global National.
Crews in southern Japan are trudging through knee-deep water trying to rescue people trapped by flooding. At least 55 people have been killed after days of torrential rain and landslides, and at least a dozen people are missing. Over 1.3 million others have been ordered to leave their homes, and more rain is in the forecast through Thursday. In southwestern China, 21 people have been killed when a bus plunged into a lake. Video shows the bus suddenly swerve off the road, break through a fence, and then plunge into the water. The passengers are believed to have been high school students on their way to exams. State media says at least 18 people on board were rescued. United Nations investigators say Syria's pro-government forces and its rebel opponents flagrantly violated the laws of war during the battle for Idlib province. The new UN report says civilians endured what it calls unfathomable suffering and were subject to indiscriminate airstrikes, ground shelling, arrests, and torture when Syria's military launched its deadly campaign late last year. Hundreds of civilians were killed before a ceasefire was finally agreed in March. About 1 million people were displaced, and many have been forced to live in overcrowded camps. The early bird gets a magnificent sight next. How to spot comet.
Oh, fuck off. Just finished eating. I'm actually tired. What's going on with you, though? What's up, man? What's going on? I'm actually fucking, I just finished smashing back a shit ton of food. I think I might go to bed.
Phase 4 is selling now, so there's never been a better time to live above it all. Come by and talk to us. Kirshner Mountain, an elegant state of nature.
I might get up early, though. I play early. Maybe.
Get your money direct by calling Capital Direct today.
Fuck. Yeah, I ate lots.
BC1, your province's 24-hour news channel.
The pandemic has a lot of us staying home, sometimes without much to do.
All right, man.
This is giving us a good reason to get up early in the morning.
Yeah, you guys have a good night too.
Impressive comet in years.
Yeah, I'm hitting it. I'm gonna crash.
This is the comet Neowise, as seen over Switzerland, just breaking over the horizon. That's its tail fanned out behind it. Now, stargazers had two other comets in 2020 they were looking forward to. Both turned out to be disappointments. That is not the case with this one. Neowise is actually brighter than expected. Here it is shot from Burlington, Ontario, in the sky over Toronto.
Wow, you can see that?
Small, but spectacular. This photo was snapped by an astronaut in the space station. This one by an amateur photographer in Lebanon. It's NASA's official astronomy picture of the day.
So about once a decade you get one that is really bright, naked eye visibility, and that's what, surprisingly, Neowise has become. We weren't expecting it.
The comet is named after the Neowise spacecraft, the infrared wavelength space telescope that discovered it. It's been visible with inexpensive ground telescopes and even binoculars from the southern hemisphere for a while on its way towards the sun. As it's gotten closer, it's become easier to see from the northern hemisphere and brighter. It's rare that comets are so visible with the naked eye. So what is it? Well, comets are sometimes called dirty snowballs. They're ice and rock and dust. The tail is gas and dust blown off by the sun's heat and solar wind. The glow comes from molecules breaking down.
As it gets close to the sun, you heat it up, and that's what creates the tail.
Now, Neowise survived its pass around the sun last week. That's when most comets disappear. This one's still going. It's going to fade as it moves away from the sun, but not as quickly as usual because it's getting closer to Earth. The show will continue for several days. To spot it, look low.
Cool, I want to go look now.
It's visible in the early morning now, but as it gets closer to Earth, it'll be earlier and earlier. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
And that is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's your candidate is Killarney, Ontario. Beautiful scene. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Our racing concerns. The story is coming up. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. An early morning house fire sent a Lake Country family fleeing for their lives when their home became engulfed in flames. As Travis Lowe reports, while the family of 4 and their 2 dogs managed to escape without injury,
oh, this is what I wanted to see.
Cats are missing and may have perished in the blaze.
Just use that hose, buddy. Turn it on.
Flames pour out of a home on Teresa Road Tuesday morning while a resident tries in vain to battle the blaze with a garden hose.
It happened so fast, like it was fully engulfed within minutes.
Sarah Kanakin lives right next door to where the blaze occurred. She took this video after being awoken by her neighbors at the crack of dawn. How big were the flames?
Oh, they were so big you couldn't even tell the outside of them. It was just all orange.
Kanakin's first thought?
We better start saving our house as well.
The flames from the fire next door were so hot that even though the Kanakins hosed down the side of their home,
it melted all the siding on the side and it even busted out one of our windows.
The Lake Country Fire Department was still actioning the fire late Tuesday morning, but the inside of the house was completely gutted.
The fire started on basically on the back of the structure. From that point, it moved inside, so it had the chance to grow.
And that's when it awoke the homeowner, who did his best with a fire extinguisher before having to abandon the home with his family, fleeing for their lives before fire crews arrived on scene.
The flames were through the roof, and it was a fairly substantial residential fire at the time.
The homeowner didn't want to go on camera, but he did show Global News his 2 huskies, Timber and Archer, that he managed to grab before exiting the home, along with 2 cats that the fire department rescued from the downstairs tenant's suite.
Unfortunately, we didn't find the other 2 cats, but it's possible they're still missing somewhere.
Thankfully, though, no one was injured during the blaze, which is still under investigation. The homeowner does have fire insurance, and as Kanakin puts it, the family is
lucky to be alive today.
Lake Country Deputy Fire Chief Brent Penner agrees.
They're lucky, yeah.
Travis Lowe, Global News, Lake Country.
2 men were killed when their car lost control on the Trans-Canada Highway and swerved into an oncoming transport truck and trailer this weekend. The crash took place at just after 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, around 15 kilometers east of Revelstoke. Police say the 2 men in the car died at the scene, but the driver of the semi was not injured.
I'll be on later.
Went for approximately 4 hours while police examined the area and debris was